Now on CoastTV News.
Caught on camera, Milford targets red light runners with a new photo system.
A busy intersection in Milton and what people say is needed here to avoid more tragedy.
Cell service during concerts. It's actually been a problem in Ocean City. Changes officials are looking to make.
We have a bit of steamy sunshine on the immediate horizon.
This is CoastTV News at 5.
Drivers running red lights in Milford, but soon they will not get away with it. Good evening. I'm Madeline Overturf.
And I'm Christina D. Robertus. Charlie Sakaitis has the night off.
The city of Milford gave the green light to install a new red light camera system. This comes after a DelDOT study found multiple intersections in Milford to be considered high crash areas. Coast TV News reporter Emma Aiken live in Milford. Emma, you're at one of those spots.
Maddie, I'm at the intersection of North Washington Street and Route 14, also called Front Street, and DelDOT says 50 people ran red lights here in just a 16-hour span. And this intersection really is in the heart of downtown and right next to the Senior Center. Intersections. It's a game of stop and go. And according to a recent DelDOT study, for several areas in Milford, it's a dangerous game. That's why the city is moving forward with a new red light camera system. Carol Bukowski says anything for safety.
When the light change yellow, people want to go through.
One of the high crash spots DelDOT identified is the intersection of Route 113 and Airport Road. Today, Coast TV saw several cars run red lights there. DelDOT recorded 62 violations at that spot over just 16 hours. And at the intersection of Route 14 and Route 113, DelDOT logged even more, 129 violations in the same time frame. But some, like Charles Tribbett, say they don't think red light cameras will change anything.
I don't agree with camera lights unless it's especially if it's in town like this, it's just not necessary.
Still, the hope is that a flash might stop a crash. And DelDOT says based on the frequency of those violations, some of the intersections will have cameras in all 4 directions, while others, like here, will have them in 2 directions. Reporting live in Milford, Emma Aiken, Coast TV News.
Leaders say their police department would issue violations, and revenue from the fines would go towards city improvements.
And it's not just in Milford. Locals in Milton once again asking for some help at the intersection of Mulberry Street and Route 16. According to DelDOT, that traffic light needed more utility work, which caused some delays in the project. However, DelDOT tells Coast TV they will now be moving forward with completing the project. Longtime Milton community member Russell McCabe says engineers have hit a challenge as they find a way to improve the intersection.
Folks who, with engineering backgrounds obviously are trying to deal with problems that we would never have imagined 10, 20 years ago in locations we would never have imagined them. It's a challenge, but it's the kind of challenge that goes along with growth.
And DelDOT says they don't have a timeline yet or when that traffic signal would be installed.
Using your phone to pay for parking, well, we pretty much all do it, right? But in Ocean City, slow internet service remains the same near the inlet, especially during big concert events like Ocean's Calling. During Tuesday's work session, AT&T discussed changing some of the Ocean City poles near the inlet to add antennas on top, the middle, or the bottom. And one local says it just makes sense.
We actually got the SOS signal at the top and couldn't text anyone to let us know where we're at or anything.
The Ocean City Council responded with the hope of AT&T adding cameras to the top of the poles to increase safety near the inlet. These proposed changes will be discussed further July 1st.
Now we're taking a live look into Ocean City, and we're going to check in with our First Alert Chief Meteorologist Paul Williams on our weather. Good evening, Paul.
Good evening, Christina. And right now, we're actually just recovering from the early morning rain that we had throughout the early afternoon as well. Ocean City right now sitting at a nice, comfortable 73 degrees, dew point temperature of 70, by the way. And then we have a chance of a sprinkle or two starting to dance down in that area by 5 to 6 o'clock. Now, as far as observed rain is concerned, we had just shy of a half an inch in Ocean City, not so much actually up towards Georgetown. And just to kind of keep us and focus on what's happening with this month thus far, we've had over an inch for the month, and we're only about 1/10 of an inch shy for the month. Now, as far as the year is concerned, we're still way ahead of schedule, nearly 3.5 inches beyond our normal rainfall total. Here's the latest look at the radar. A lot of moisture, a lot of low-level moisture, but it's just in the form of cloud cover, with the exception of this one cell that's making its way over towards between Ocean City and Chincoteague, and it's actually tracking to the east at approximately 35 miles per hour, but not posing a threat as far as anything severe. But we are starting to see some things fire off near Frenchtown and Smith Island. Brace for a chance of a little bit of a lightning strike there, just briefly, because it's a fast mover at this point. Coming up, Maddie, we're talking about big-time heat and humidity coming back in style.
Paul, now to a story we have been closely following here at Coast TV. Today was another day in the legislative session, and District 20 Representative Stell Parker Selby is still absent from the House. Parker Selby, who represents roughly 23,000 registered voters in the Lewis, Milton, and Harbison areas, has missed every single House vote this year. Close to 100, actually. Sources confirmed first to Coast TV that Parker Selby had a major stroke this winter. Her office has yet to return our calls for comment. Coming up at 6, see how House leadership responded today to our inquiries.
And this does bring us to our Coast TV poll. We want to know what you think should happen to Representative Stell Parker Selby's seat.
Let's take a look at the results so far. 82% say she should resign. 14% say the House should remove her. 1% says the governor should get involved, and only 3% right now say wait for her return.
We also have a comment from Nancy tonight, who says she was elected to serve the people. If she's not able to do the job, she must resign or be taken out of the position.
If you haven't voted yet, or would you like to leave a comment, you can do that right now on CoastTVnews.com or our mobile app.
Well, law enforcement in Los Angeles is bracing for what could be another night of protests over immigration enforcement operations in the city. Last night, more cars burned and more arrests. NBC's Jay Gray shows us how, while protesters and police have faced off in the streets, there's also another clash between local and state officials and the White House.
Morning traffic moving through intersections that for days had been locked down by police. The show of force in downtown Los Angeles early reduced to a handful of officers and National Guard troops. Still, graffiti scribbled across buildings and walls marks the chaos unfolding here. Overnight, protesters again clashing with police, demanding an end to ongoing immigration raids across the city.
Don't break families apart, or don't come here terrorize this community.
Cars burned, businesses looted. In several areas, the disruptions met with tear gas, flashbang canisters, and rubber bullets.
The violence we saw last night, there is just no way to view it as unacceptable.
President Trump calling in more federalized National Guard soldiers and 700 Marines, saying without that,
Los Angeles right now would be on fire, and we have it in great shape and not playing around.
California Governor Gavin Newsom saying it's the president who sparked the fires and fighting here, posting on social media, this isn't about public safety. It's about stroking a dangerous president's ego. This is reckless, pointless, and disrespectful to our troops. Troops, including police, in the middle of a political tug-of-war and facing growing tensions and anger along the front lines of protest here. Jay Gray, NBC News, Los Angeles.
Good news, Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth faced questions today on the department's budget, including how it's being impacted by the deployment of National Guard members to LA to counter immigration protesters. Hegseth dodged questions about the cost of those deployments, instead calling out California Governor Gavin Newsom. The Pentagon's top budget official later telling committee the deployment will cost an estimated $134 million.
There are 17,000 LAPD, you mentioned that. There would be 18,000 if not for the defund movement that folks like Gavin Newsom and Karen Bass have implemented. The police chief said she was overwhelmed,
so we helped. If the Secretary's not going to ask the budgetary questions, I will yield back my time if the Secretary refuses to answer the budgetary questions I put before him.
Defense Secretary Hegseth added that the current plan is for the deployment to last 60 days. At least 10 people were killed and 12 wounded in a shooting at a school in Austria today. The suspected perpetrator also died. The victims include children between 14 and 18. It's one of the worst rampages in the European country's history. Gun violence is rare in most Central European countries. Capacity concerns how one campus at the Brandywine Valley SPCA is accommodating a surge in animals.
And it's full steam ahead with more steam ahead for the next few days.
But first, celebrating Pride Month in Delaware, why advocates say this year's celebrations are significant. That's up next.
This is Coast TV News at 5.
Delaware marked Pride Month today with a flag-raising ceremony at Legislative Hall. During the event, Governor Meyer presented a proclamation officially recognizing June 2025 as Pride Month across the state.
Advocates and state leaders say this year's celebration is especially meaningful as LGBTQ+ communities continue to face growing challenges from Washington and across the country, they say.
And they say flying the Pride flag at the Capitol sends a strong message of visibility, inclusion, and support.
Raising this flag on this property today and this proclamation is symbolic of a new way of thinking about all of our Delaware neighbors and making sure that everyone is included.
State leaders tell us this is the first time the Pride flag has been hung outside of Legislative Hall.
A recent surge in stray and neglected animals has pushed the Brandywine Valley SPCA's Dover campus beyond its capacity. With kennels full, dozens of dogs are now being housed in the lobby, waiting at a chance for their forever home. The shelter is calling on the community to open their hearts and homes through fostering or adopting.
I'm really hoping that we can grow our foster program. That's really what we need to do. If we could have, 1 out of every 5 people in Dover want to foster, that would be amazing. We wouldn't have this overflow problem.
In May alone, the shelter took in nearly 80 dogs, 63% were strays, and 32% seized from cruelty or neglect cases, marking the highest intake this year.
Here's a look at your Bay forecast. We're looking for sunshine in mid-80s on Wednesday, but get this, stop the presses. We're going to clock 90 on Thursday. You don't want to miss this forecast. The focus of the forecast for the next couple of days is due to the uptick in heat and humidity that we are going to have to wrestle with, particularly when it comes to Thursday. Now, Tyndall's casual furniture camera, we have overcast conditions continuing to be the case and sort of evidence of the overabundance of moisture that we have just hovering in the atmosphere. We're holding at 81 degrees right now in Laurel. We are expecting for it to fall into the mid-70s with scattered cloud cover by 9 o'clock. Now, we've already had a bit of rain, and it wasn't all that impressive, and we still have a little left over at this point. 82 for the high in Ocean City, 83 for the high in Georgetown, and 82, the highest point that we reached, Cambridge. Temperatures, that's going to be our big deal. Now, previously we saw a lot of blue slices here, but now we're starting to see a few more reds here. This is from, a month before, but we started off the first of the month with the 2 days where the temperatures were below the norm. Then look at this run of red we had Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, slight blue, then back to the red on Saturday. Now we're going to go back to that red or that temperature reading that's going to be above the norm for this time of the year for the next few days, at least 3 days in a row. 80 in Milton right now. We're 83. Georgetown, 82 degrees right now in Seaford as well as Laurel. But compare that to the dew point temperature, which is in the 60s. Now, when this dew point temperature is in those 60s, it's ripe for the plucking for a chance of a spot shower. So we have leftover remnants of just the smallest amount of energy. It can just pick a fight right there in the mid and upper portions of the atmosphere down towards Chincoteague right now. But overall, we're still relatively quiet because most of that energy was drained from the earlier showers, kind of like when you take a sponge and you wring it all the way out so it's almost dry, kind of like what's happened over our neck of the woods as far as our air is concerned. Now, for tomorrow, we still deal with that dry sponge and we have blazing sunshine, 84 for the high. And we're looking for 80s, mid to upper 80s, a lot of other places, like 86 in Georgetown, for example, 84, for example, in Cambridge, 86 in Vienna, and we're warm to 84 degrees in Snow Hill and 86 Pocomoke City. Now, along the coast, we have temperatures in the 80s, inland areas, as well as the beaches. Now, when the beaches are climbing into the 80s, that's when you know it's really warm. And take a look at our average, 82. But look at where we're going to end up. By Thursday, we're going to go into the 90s. And so we are trending upward, both with our average low and our average high. And we really won't get back into that realm where we're the norm or slightly below till we get to, let's say, Sunday and Monday. So before that happens, it's all about the muggies. Take a look at this. Wednesday, we're comfy, but Thursday, we're humid. Friday, we're very humid. And Saturday, we're going to be just on the bottom side of miserable. Okay, Now, so Wednesday morning, 7 o'clock, we're clear. 83 for Wednesday. I want to just show you Thursday. Look at that. 91 in Millsboro, 90 in Milton, Ellendale, Georgetown, Seaford, 89 in Selbyville. That's for Thursday, the most southern portion of our viewing area. I want to skip over to Thursday again. Look, 80s to 90 in Newark, 89 in Willards. That's just how real it's going to be. And you add to that the UV index, which is going to stay at a high of 9 for 3 days in a row, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. So we're in the 80s in Chincoteague across the board. We're in the 70s for Ocean City because it's going to be a little cloudier there. But we'll open the door for all kinds of sunshine in Lewis and Rehoboth Beach. Finally, here's a look at your extended forecast. It's going to be hot and humid like crazy Thursday.
Thank you, Paul. Tomorrow in Georgetown, a carnival is set to kick off to benefit the Georgetown EMS service. You might remember that comes as a recently released financial support showed the American Legion Georgetown EMS is one of the most financially strained EMS providers in Sussex County. To help raise funds, a carnival is happening June 11th through Saturday, June 14th, Wednesday to Friday, 6 to 10 each night there, and on Saturday, it's 3 p.m. to 10 p.m. You can read all of our coverage of that financial report at CoastTV.com.
Looking ahead in Salisbury, drivers can expect a temporary closure on the Naylor Mill Road Bridge. That's next Tuesday. On June 17th, the bridge will be closed to drivers and pedestrians from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m.
Coming up tonight on the Delmarva Sports Network, at 8:30, Stephen Decatur takes on Parkside in girls basketball, then catch the final score at 10:30. On the DSN Plus app at 6 p.m., it's the Blue Gold baseball game, along with Crown Sports Center basketball. Then at 7:30, Wrench Plumbing takes on East Coast Titans in baseball.
Bipartisan efforts underway to create a safety audit for air traffic control systems. Stay tuned on Coast TV News at 5. Senate leaders are calling for an audit over air traffic safety following the January mid-air collision at D.C.'s Reagan-Washington National Airport. The crash killed 67 people and raised questions about safety issues at the airport. Now bipartisan Senate leaders are asking for audits so there can be an independent review. Alongside the major investigation into the crash, the airport has run into a number of air traffic control issues and safety incidents.
Elon Musk's net worth took a big hit from his recent fallout with President Trump. According to Bloomberg's Billionaires Index, Musk's net worth was close to $500 billion after Trump was elected to the White House. As of Sunday, it had plunged to $342 billion. The feud between Musk and Trump blew up last week after Musk departed the White House Department of Government Efficiency. Let's take one more live look into Lewis as we check on our forecast after this. Coming up new on Coast TV News at 6, speakers silence. Delaware's top Democrat in the House refuses to answer our questions about Stell Parker Selby, what we asked and what Republicans are saying.
The Shepherd's Office in Georgetown already helps those in need with meals and donations. Now they are renovating the house located next to them with the goal of using it as a place to hold church services.
Renovations include repairs to the upstairs restroom and bringing running water back. The repairs are being worked on by FH Fur, who's donating their services.
Jim Martin, who runs the office, looks forward to the ways this can help the community.
We have about 100 people for the free meal on Sunday. So our main focus is providing food and clothing to everybody. But we also feel like we have to have a spiritual place, a quiet place where people can connect with God.
Now, once the necessary repairs are done, the Shepherd's Office is looking to add an extra kitchen to the back of the house.
In Lewis, we have cloudy skies courtesy of our tunnel raiser camera and 78 degrees. We are going to drop down to 76 by 8 o'clock. We could see a random sprinkle briefly at 7 o'clock. Now, our umbrella giveaway winner, Jody Sheffley of Millsboro. Congratulations courtesy of Paul Davis Restoration and Home Remodeling. As usual, we update our weather line 24/7. Call 443-880-9100. Your forecast is just a call away. Sponsored by the law offices of Bruckstead, Mandalis, and Federico. Finally, here's a look at your exclusive 10-day forecast. Listen, 85 for tomorrow and the muggies, but Thursday, let's just put it this way. You might want to make sure your air conditioner has plenty of Freon in it.
All right, Paul, thank you, and thanks for joining us here for Coast TV News at 5.
For some more local news and local weather, you can download our Coast TV News app.
Inside Edition is up next.
And we'll see you later tonight for Coast TV News at 6. Have a great evening.